Hello and welcome to sim.bc, where it right now is 13:49, so just 10 to 2 in the afternoon, day, midday, something like that, depending on how you see it, where in the world you are. And well, I've had a bit of a stressful day, haven't I? Yesterday was all about studying. Today is going to be all about studying. Yes, that's the thing, because we still have exams, even though I studied yesterday, the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that. Doesn't, change anything. Still have to study today. Yay, but yesterday we went through something really interesting. At least I think so. And that is mainly what should we say, not operations, but what are the objectives of a manager? What is it that a manager should do? And I thought it was quite interesting because we came up with our own acronym in order to remember it. And it was all fine, all good, old Andy. So I thought, why not go through all that today, right here, right now with you guys? And it is POLC. So POLC. And what do they stand for? Well, they stand for, oh my days, let's see if I can get this straight and right. It is planning for P. Organizing, leading, and controlling. And as I see it, you should, what was it now? Yeah, you should lead the organization and control the plan. That's how I remember them, right? That's how I remember the schedule of how things are supposed to go. Now, what is meant by this? Well, planning is meant that a manager is the person in the team, right? Because, we've established it already. You have a team. In the team, you probably have a manager, right, who is leading it. If you're working in sales, you probably have a little store, and in the store, you have a manager, the store manager. And if you look at all the stores in the district, you probably have a district manager, and so on and so forth. So manager is technically a leader, right? Someone who is in charge. Establishing that terminology to start with is probably going to help us. So moving in then to plan. What is planning? Well, planning is the stage where a manager takes on what we're supposed to do, at least in my opinion. So a manager comes up with a plan, right? Comes up with an idea of what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. Get what I'm saying? So let's say that we have a goal, we have a sales objective in a little sales store, and Gary, me mate, the manager, right? Gary is moving up in the world and he's saying, well, why not do it like this? Why don't we try to push our sales for 5 more cars this month, this season, this quarter, this year, whatever, I don't know. At least 5 more than we've done previously. But you can't just state an objective like that, because nobody's going to understand and how is this going to work out? How do you know we're going to sell 5 more cars? And then Gary comes along and say, well, don't worry, mate, I have a problem, I have a plan, I have a solution. He might say something like, and I know I'm saying he, it's just because I said Gary, not assuming any genders or anything. Of course, Gary could be a woman too, and the manager could be an equally as good manager as a man could. I should say that because we're discussing that in the literature as well. Well, basically, it's that Gary, my main man, right? He's coming up with the idea that, well, if we're gonna do this, then let's work another hour. Let's put in another hour at Saturday. Don't know if that's beneficial in the long run. Don't know if that's actually doable, workable, or legal. However, that is one form of plan. He has at least come up with a plan of how we're going to achieve this goal. So basically, the planning part of what a manager should do is coming up with a plan. How are we going to go towards the objective? How are we going to, arrive at the objective? That's all part of what a manager should do. Moving on to the second then, if we go POLC, so it's organization, organizing. Basically, just organizing the tasks. So we have the plan of how we should move towards an objective. Now, in order to actually finalize the plan, actually making the plan work, we need to organize, right? I need to know that people of certain departments, if I'm a district manager or a department manager, or if just looking at me on a store, right? Gary needs to know that the people who are working in the store are going to do certain things. So he has this beautifully constructed plan, and now he needs to execute it in some way. In order to execute it, he needs to know who is going to do what in the plan. I know I've reiterated a couple of times now, mate, but that's just to make it easier for you, yeah? So, every person and every team needs to be assigned something in the plan, right? That's the way of organizing it. So distributing, what you would say, collect the data could be one thing. People can collect data. That's organizing the people, the team, the department, the district that is going to collect data, and then another department is going to analyze it, or another team is going to analyze it. Depending also in an organization, I would say, what type of teams are we going to use? Are we going to use problem-solving team, cross-functional teams? We're going to use self-managed teams? Are we going to use a virtual team? How are the teams going to respond? How will the teams themselves be organized? How many people will be in each team? Why not? Is this beneficial for the task at hand? How will this help us go towards the project goal? How will this help execute the plan? That's all part of organization. So then we move into leading. Exactly. And leading is, and this time, I don't have any help from usually I write down, so I have a bit of help, so I have a bit of keywords to work from, but this time I haven't. So that's why I'm reiterating the same model yet again, the acronym of POLC in my head, if you thought it looked kind of weird and kind of crazy. So L then is leading. Now that you come up with organizing your group, you have organized all the teams and they're moving towards an objective. Now you need to lead them there. Will you be a servant leader? Will you be an authentic leader? Will you be a ethical leader? Will you work transformationally, or will you work cooperationally? I think the other one is. Might be wrong, probably wrong, doesn't sound right. But you have to take on your own leadership style. What kind of leadership style do you need to use? You are a manager, so you should lead them. You should direct the people in front of you, right? You should direct the progress of this. So now that you have all the teams, how will you direct the teams? They're organized to do something, but let's say something doesn't work. Let's say it's a hiccup, right? There is some form of problem. Now you need to step in as the leader, right? And solve the problem. Because if there were no problems, then they wouldn't need a leader, right? Because if there weren't no problems, then they would all be able to work as there was assigned in their organizing, as you've assigned them previously in the organization. And as you've organized them, that would all work fluently, then nobody would need to help them. And if nobody would need to help them, well, mate, then you would be out of a job, basically. But no, a manager should be able to step in and lead, not only leading problem-solving situation, but also if one team, right, is in charge of, okay, this could be a problem. Debatably a problem, or well, strictly is a problem probably, but I'm getting into it, right? You have a team that you've organized to work with, let's say, analytics of data. But they don't know how to progress further. They seem to have done everything. Now it's your job, right, as the manager, to step in, right? To step in, be the big man and say, well, this is how you can keep reiterating or keep progressing within this area. And this is also what you need to do. Yet again, just directing workflows. You should be the person who knows what should be done, and therefore you have the big picture of what all the teams work with. Hence, it will be easier for you to see the connection between the teams and tell each individual team what and how they should do something in order to progress and getting closer to the overall achievement, the overall goal. The last one is controlling. And as I said, you should be leading the organization and control the plan, because you're leading the organization, as I told you, but now you're supposed to control the plan. And controlling, you could say technically that in controlling is, are we a decentralized organization? How are we a centralized organization? Are we flat? Are we tall? How are we actually directing communication? How is the control or the controlment of the entire company? How do we work with control? Are we high power distance, low power distance, high uncertainty, low uncertainty, hot states and all of that? How are we actually working in this organization? What is control to people? What do they expect from me when it comes to control? But I would say easily a manager's job is to control that the plan is being followed, control that the plan is being done, right? And that's basically it. In my opinion, about controlling. So just going through it all again. You have planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. You're supposed to control the plan that you've come up with so that people actually follow the plan, so that the plan gets executed and so that the plan works. And you're supposed to lead your organization because once you've organized everything so that they would follow the plan, now you need to lead them in this organized manner that when they come to hiccups and when they're establishing their encounter problems, you need to help them progress further. And that is POLC, ladies and gentlemen. And that was it for today. I know I said that I was going to discuss stereotypes, but I think that that's a what should we say? It's a very in-depth topic and title, whatever, and I am afraid I will step on people's toes. I know that's something that you shouldn't be when you discuss, because yet again, I'm in university. I'm allowed to actually step on people's toes because that's how we progress the conversation. Because if I don't, well, how would I know that I would step on people's toes if I don't step on them to begin with? So I understand that this is something that I should avoid in the future, or this is something that we can work on, or why did I step on your toes? Also something that the leader should do, by the way, in leading, not stepping on people's toes in order to realize and understand why you shouldn't. Debatable, but I would say that's a very healthy way of looking at leadership and leading an organization, planning and controlling. Now I've reiterated yet again. But yeah, so I'm probably going to save that topic for a while and really think about it before I get into it, because I don't want to say something that's... It's one thing stepping on people's toes, it's another just looking kind of obvious that, oh, this is kind of obvious that this was stepping on people's toes, and I will be, yeah, I was probably a bit too rough around the edges there. So I'm gonna think about how I'm going to phrase my opinion or my thoughts about the project or about the topic. But yeah, that's it for today, mate. See you tomorrow and have a nice one.